In cabinet, when you're sitting in cabinet, all of you, how are decisions made? You know, you're sitting there, the president is there, your colleagues are there.
Cabinet is the team that runs government. And a cabinet in session is looking at issues normally documented in sessional, in cabinet papers.
Memoranda.
The cabinet agenda is supported by a dictated cabinet paper, which every minister is expected to have read fully. When the agenda item is presented, right, all the ministers are expected to look at that agenda item, look at the cabinet paper and the recommendations in that paper based on what reasons. The tendency is we always arrive at a unanimous decision. But there are serious debates sometimes. I remember an agenda that one time became very controversial. We took 4 hours. That is the longest cabinet would ever take in any agenda.
4 hours?
4 hours. Most of the times, 30 minutes, we have made a decision.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because if it is clear, the minister presents it well, the cabinet paper and the attachments and so on are satisfactory, the ministers read it before and they are happy, it is presented and in 30 minutes, cabinet is agreed. When it is controversial, then there is an issue of every minister being expected to give a view, because the view of every minister has a bearing on what Kenyans may be feeling out there about that agenda item, right? So either we agree to defer it if we cannot develop a consensus, we defer it, tell the minister, can you go and do more research, get your officers to look at this issue again and present it at an appropriate time.
Right.
Other times, we say we take it back to a cabinet subcommittee, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that this is looked at again by a subcommittee. Then the chair of that subcommittee will come back together with the minister responsible for the portfolio under which the issue comes and represent it to the cabinet. But otherwise, most of the items are unanimously agreed. Only very occasionally may a president want to take a vote. It's very rare that a vote may be required. But that can only be done when the president feels this matter must be dealt with. And you are the people who must deal with it.
Could you argue with your president? Were you allowed to argue with him?
You are not in cabinet, you are not arguing with the president. The president is chair of the cabinet. Yes. You are all ministers and is your chair.
Can you disagree with your chair?
You are not disagreeing. You give your view on the issue.
The paper that has been presented.
Yes. You are not disagreeing with anybody. You are saying so and so feels so. Me, I feel so. Based on this and that. You are not disagreeing. You are contributing to a decision that would finally be beneficial to all Kenyans.
Yes, there's something that before it reaches cabinet, and he has done well to explain, but before it reaches cabinet, the principal secretaries of the various ministries, let's say it's a bill, you want to bring a new bill to the country or take to the cabinet. So they have to go through this and see how does it affect me in this ministry, or has in that bill, has it captured the manifesto or the policies of this ministry? Are we duplicating? Do we already have something existing like that? So once the PSS have finished going through that, then now the minister, from where the bill is emanating from, now will accept and now share out with the ministry, with the various ministers, if it has been accepted that it will be presented before the cabinet. Now, the good thing about having more politicians in the cabinet, as my colleague has said, is that ministers seem to see, politicians seem to see smoke coming from everywhere, while a technocrat might not see that. Or we hear more rumors. And you know, rumor is like us, you know, where there's smoke, there is fire. So when we discuss in the cabinet, then I've looked at this bill which we are taking to the cabinet. Then I recall what ideas I have come across, what I've heard people say. Then we now say, is it okay? Is it not okay? That informs the discussion in the cabinet where it should go or not. And now the chair is just there to moderate. So there is no way you can argue with the chair. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, okay, go on.
Many cabinet papers are not just prepared and signed by one minister, because there might be issues that require legal guidance.
Yeah.
So the Attorney General would also sign. Or the same paper might require financial provision. So the Minister of Finance will also sign. They read this long before the paper is presented in cabinet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll go there. Quite a good number of ministers are involved because they've got to make certain inputs. And the paper is as good as accepted. But then it is again discussed in details. If there are any recommendations that need to be improved or deleted, that is done. And it is usually a unanimous decision. They are very well researched by the permanent secretaries and their line directors. So when the paper is presented, it's usually a masterpiece of a document, and it's rarely rejected. There are some which are rejected, of course, or referred back to be improved to answer certain questions which have been posed by cabinet.
Right.
But in the final analysis, it's a unanimous decision, and they are thorough, and the recommendations always point at improvement of the country's development agenda.
We can mention that there is a cabinet office also. So other than those subcommittees and so on, these papers, before they are presented on the agenda of a particular cabinet meeting, there is a cabinet committee that will also have looked at the content. And if at that level they feel it is not appropriate to handle this issue, now it will be deferred, and further consultation in government would be taken into account before a cabinet paper is put on the agenda of a particular cabinet meeting. So the system is very detailed.
It's very detailed.
Yes.
And it can only be returned at times if maybe some cabinet secretaries will feel this bill or this memo does not meet the aspirations of the people, or, you know, this is a group of people who have an agenda because they are the ruling party at that particular time. Is it capturing their manifesto? Is it answering to their manifesto, which they told people they will do? If it is not, then it will be taken back so that they modify to answer to the promise they made to us.